I am notoriously risk averse when it comes to buying a used car, and that's why anytime I do it, I buy one from a main dealer, but not everybody's in that position. A lot of people buy their cars privately, and there are a few things that you should look for if that's the route you decide to go. Now, I have to admit from the outset that I'm not a mechanic. I'm pretty mechanically minded, but even I bring a mechanic with me when I go to look at a used car, and you should too. But there's a couple of checks you can perform yourself. The first is to see if the car's ever been in a side-on collision. And the way to do that is to have a look at the brackets holding on the doors. The paint should be completely undisturbed. Any of the bolts that are holding them in shouldn't look like they've been taken off with a socket set at any stage. And go through all of the rubbers as well and make sure they're all in good condition. Now, a lot of people will admit that they don't know what to look for under the bonnet, but there are a few things here that you can see no matter what level of professionalism you have. You've got the wells along here. Make sure they're all intact, they're not cracked, nothing's broken along here. The light brackets as well is another one. If these are broken or worn off and the rubber's gone, there's a crack in the headlight, it might suggest that the car has been in a front-on collision. And just like you did under the bonnet, make sure you check in the boot as well. There are some welds under here that if it was ever crashed into the back of, they would break as well. You can get a car that's been repaired properly, and if the front has had a bit of a small collision and there's a documented proof that it was repaired by an official repairer, then I wouldn't have too much concern. But any broken welds that still remain in the car, I would say that's too much of an unknown for me and I wouldn't buy it. The most important thing to remember is that if the car says that it has low mileage, but the steering wheel is badly worn, the seats are badly worn, there's some holes in the floor, the gear knob is about to fall off, that might suggest the car is being clocked. Never buy a clocked car. You don't want to inherit that kind of trouble. And always make sure that once everything visually checks out, that you take the car for a good spin. This advice really does mostly apply to when you're buying a car privately, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't check a car out from a dealership as well. They just tend to come with less problems. If you can bring a mechanic with you, even if it costs you 50 or 100 euros, it might be the best money you'll ever spend.